Welcome to Coffey Talk, real stories from real people. I'm your host, Kate Coffey-Bacon, and every Monday we'll sit down for honest conversations about successes, failures, and the lessons we learn from both. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's talk. My guest today is Kelsey Coffey, a fitness and wellness coach building a business, and I love this so much, rooted in empowerment and a true mind-body connection. So today we're going to talk about her journey from the fine dining world of New York City through unexpected challenges, really big changes, and how she discovered the power of consistency, forgiveness, and beginning again, and how that has become the mission of her business, Kasanova Fitness. So her story is so deeply inspirational and one I have been lucky enough to be front row for. You may have gathered from the last name connection that Kelsey is indeed my sister. So buckle up, Buttercup. You're in for a double shot of espresso today. So Kelsey, welcome to Coffey Talk. Let's start with your story.
So I started, working in fine dining in the city, and then COVID hit, and I felt like FOMO was running my life. I felt like if I wasn't working in the crazy, intense nightlife sort of environment, then I wanted to be deeply immersed in it. So I felt like I never gave. In retrospect, I know I never gave my body or my mind a moment to breathe. And so I was pretty unhealthy. I was walking and moving constantly. So I physically wasn't that different, but I was nowhere near healthy and like just crazy hours. And I was never breathing. So COVID brought that screeching halt to there is no party to be at. There is no shift to work. There's no energy that like I need to be next to. It's just me and myself. That's what sensitized me to who am I? What am I doing? Why am I so obsessed with being other places and seeing and experiencing when I really am complete? I am whole in myself. And I really figured out I didn't like me so much. And I had a lot of bitterness in me, like a lot of issues with myself. Maybe I felt like I had let myself down and I wasn't, while I was very proud of where I was physically in the world. I come from a small town in Georgia and made my way to New York City. Like the way I was living had no longevity. And if I was right where I was, 20 years from now, I would not be proud of that. I wasn't building anything for myself, So COVID was that wake up call of like, what are you doing to make future you proud?
You have a long-standing history with fitness, and you have competed, you have trained. I have seen you at like the tippy top of fitness. So what do you think changed from those days where it was just all this, from the outside, it was perfection. It really was. I have so many stories to tell about us, right? Because we're family, that you and I ran a Spartan together and you kicked my ass. And I was determined that I'm 12 years older than you. And I was determined that I was at least going to cross the finish line with you. And I did, but I almost died. But you have always been in shape. You have always had that. We're talking about two different things in this Coffey Talk. We're talking about the outside and the inside, right? So
Right. Absolutely.
Always had that exterior level.
Thank you.
What changed? What happened that made you start looking inward? Was it COVID? Was it getting by yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. It was getting alone with my feelings and there was no other distractions. So I think that's when I was like, I always have movement, that's always grounded me. Any growth I'd ever, emotional work I'd done on myself started with movement. And then I think I didn't have consistency in that because, and I didn't stick with it because there was like the latest thing to be a part of, the latest thing to attend, and I didn't stick with it, but there was nowhere to go. So I was like, I got really honest with myself and I started doing the work. Part of that also is that I got pregnant, and I was like, more than just looking better and feeling better, I need to be a better version of myself so that I can show Benjamin how to be a great person and how to be always honest with himself. And I want to be a good example. And so part of my wake up call happened first in COVID. And then secondly, because I had the ultimate inspiration, and that's parenting. And that is like your child, you know?
Right. So you've always been so open about hitting a very low moment where FOMO was ruling your life. I mean, I visited you. We would go out together in the city. There was when you're in a city, especially like New York, there is always noise. There's always distraction. And so you've talked about how FOMO really had had root and how pregnancy, becoming a mom really was a pivotal moment for you. It kind of changed everything. So this is a deep one. Like, what was the hardest part of that lesson? And what did you start to learn by the healing work through fitness and through movement?
Yeah. Um, so initially I was just suddenly not at a party, right? Suddenly all of the like sort of friends or acquaintances or people I worked with, they were not doing what I was doing. They were not pregnant, like I was. So suddenly it was really isolation initially. And then I remembered the same person me that took me from tiny town in Georgia to New York City by myself and made it happen, got some roots in the ground, got the jobs, started building my career. That same person that did that could now do this. I was capable. I can do it. It was hard to be doing something unique of anybody I knew, but I was like, I've always been unique. I've always done what people are like, what? Why would you do that? And you're like, how did you do that? I've always been that person. So I just thought this is the new challenge. This is the new thing I'm taking on. I didn't know that it would take a lot of authenticity. I knew I would need to be honest with myself because having a child is the most honest thing you can do. It is the most real thing.
So having Benjamin, who is the sweetest little guy, really, I saw it in you. I saw the shift where the work that you were doing and the conversations that we were having became very internal. You took that same drive of working out to improve the outside. You took that inward and you've always been lovely. But my goodness, the last year and a half, you radiate. And I see so much healing in you and your forgiveness of yourself. And you've told me before that it is that inward work that helps you create the consistency outward. So let's talk about that and your motivation in your business to really focus on the inward work with your clients.
I think something huge here is that, sometimes when someone is maybe out of their prime, maybe you're in your 30s, maybe older, 40s, 50s, however, there's this image of you remember when you looked like this, or that you could do this physically, or you did that really well, or you were so hot, or whatever, right? You have this image of, oh, let me get back, right? And I so wholeheartedly reject that narrative because the me that I'm now and the me that people can be is the new me, is a me they've never been. And to me, there is nothing more inspirational than there is no ceiling. There is no, especially in the process. There is such beauty in that process of becoming something you've never been and learning to like this newer, even the process of changing. It can be uncomfortable. It can be a lot of things, but it also is exciting to see what you're capable of. Movement in a new way, emotional growth in a new way. Things that used to rock you don't. Things that used to like you got to say something. Now don't in this process of forgiveness, but like learning to appreciate your body and how it can move and how it can grow and change, like that creates this kind of inner peace and inner confidence that is unmoved, unshaken by what somebody else is doing and saying. And that is such an organic thing that I'm like, I would love to, if I could, be a part of someone coming into that realization that they're capable of that. And that's the most powerful thing, part of my story, to know that anyone and everyone is capable of that is awesome.
So many things stand out to me in your story, but one of the reasons that I wanted you to share your story with the audience here is your philosophy that consistency is more important than intensity, and that we can all begin again after setbacks. I was reading a story today, a blog of women that began these big notable careers in their 40s and their 50s and their 60s, that we can all start again. And sometimes the best is yet to be. So for someone listening that might feel like they are stuck or not ready or maybe not enough, which so many people that we know struggle with that one, I'm not enough. What encouragement would you give them to start and to keep going?
I would say start small. And part of this process is learning to trust yourself, learning a sense of follow through. And, at the end of yoga practices, I know you have a big yoga background. At the end of a practice, at the end of a class, you thank yourself. You thank yourself for showing up. You thank yourself for giving yourself this gift. And it's a way of showing love for yourself, gratitude for this gift of life, right? So, in the same way, setting a small goal, a doable goal, something like a 10-minute walk after a meal, and finding a measurable period of time. So for the next month, something like for a month, I'm going to walk 10 minutes after dinner 3 days a week. Go ahead and look at your schedule, see, oh, I have this, which days you can do, but find something that you can show yourself that you're worth it, you can follow through. And then at the end of that, set another goal. And so this is how you build consistency. This is how you learn to trust yourself. This is also how the people in our lives learn that you are serious about it and to respect that, because it's like everybody's got people in their ears and people in their lives. They're like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? So you have to say, I care about myself and I'm worth investing in small ways and big ways.
I really love that you say you have to learn to trust yourself. And I think, from my own healing and my own kind of reconciling, you don't get to be 45 years old without, a little bit of spicy in the history. But, you say you have to learn to trust yourself. And I can say, like, from my own story, that has been key for me too, knowing that if I say I'm going to do something, that I trust myself, that I'm going to do it. If I say, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, I'm going to, eat my 120, 140 grams of protein every day. I'm going to do that. I can trust myself. Yeah, girl.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah, girl. You know it. That if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it. And I said I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to make a plan because I am enough, because I am my story. I am the one that makes those things happen for myself. No one's coming to save us. It's us.
Right.
Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to be your hero at the end of the day. You're your own hero. And I think in a healing journey, when you can get to that point and say, I'm enough and I trust myself, then to your point, 100%, that internal change, something flips
Yeah.
and things start falling into line.
It feels silly to say those kinds of phrases like, I'm beautiful, I am strong, I am consistent, I'm a good friend. What feels the first time you ever do that, it feels like, why do I think that? Do I think that? Why would like am I? Yeah. And the thing is you've got to start, you have to start somewhere. And so to look yourself in the mirror, it really is doing something on the subconscious. I mean, there's this is a rabbit hole. This is a passion of mine, but there's a way that you can wash your brain with this, with the reality that you want to create. And it's hard for things to just suddenly be true for you. So you've got to work on it. And anyway, so I love the mind part of this, because it's the biggest indicator of where you're going and whether you can go far, whether you can make these achievements. Of course, part of this is writing the goals down. Part of it is saying it, look at it, think about it. When I'm not listening to Coffey Talk, I want to be.
I like what you did there. I like that one.
I love you. I do. I want to be meditating on what my goals are for today, tomorrow, for the week, for the month. And part of that is in the mothering too. What kind of goals do I have for Benjamin? And I want him to see that I have goals and I'm working towards them on a daily basis. This is all part of the work I'm doing was for him from the very beginning. I never lose sight.
I have recently started a gratitude practice. And this was something that, again, going back to that, I can trust myself to do these things. And I knew that, in the stress of work, in the stress of change, in life, I mean, it's just life, that I needed to slow down and say, but these things I'm so thankful for. And I think I'm good at doing that outwardly. I'm not good at doing that with myself. I think that's a very common thing that a lot of people struggle with, right? Just to say, let's slow down and say, so every night, every morning, some point in my day, I write it down, 8 things I am grateful for. And after like 3 weeks of it, you have to kind of dig a little bit. You're like, I've already said my partner, I've already said my family, like what, but then that's where you really start getting granular. And I am thankful that I woke up and I get to do this another day. I am thankful for, and then I'm like, I'm thankful for the people that I'm going to meet today that I don't even know yet. I'm thankful for, whatever it is, getting granular and very, very intentional with that exercise. So 8 things I'm grateful for. And then I write down 5 I am statements. And it does feel a little silly, but it is empowering, and not in an arrogant way, in a very fulfilling, big way.
You carry it from that moment. You carry it because you believe those things. You told yourself it. And you wrote it because it's true. You wrote it because you believe it. Yeah. So to be reminded that those things are true and real is so powerful. Yeah. Like, it's huge.
I think there's power in saying I am also thankful for the things that are going to be, that are not here now, because I trust myself and I know that I can do hard things, that I'm going to create a reality for myself. So this is like, what a powerful conversation that I feel like we as people need to be having more of, and this level of deep work inside, because that's where it starts. Well, Kelsey, tell us where we can find you on Instagram, since it's the app that you can't live without. How can we find you out there in the World Wide Web?
At Kelsey Kasanova _ Kasanova with a K. And at Kasanova Fitness.
Okay. I will drop both of those into the comments that will go with this podcast so that people can find you and follow along. I know that you are going to do very big things. You always do. So it is such a privilege truly to be front row and cheer you on and watch all that's yet to be. It's going to happen. And I'm already grateful for the things that are going to happen for you. Thank you for joining us today on Coffey Talk. A special thanks to my guests for sharing their story, and to you, the listener, for being a part of this conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a Monday morning chat. Until next time, I'm Kate Coffey-Bacon, and this has been Coffey Talk.